Okay.
Sac State looking really good right now. Thanks, Jason, in the comment section before the show. Good God. Losing to Mercyhurst. That's about. Welcome back, Mighty Vandals, to Tubs of the Club, your University of Idaho affiliate on the Big Sky Podcast Network. I'm your host, Brian Marceau, joined by producer Redacted, holding it down in Moscow, Marten Heemstra. Marten, how's it going, dude?
Going good. I am it's another Vandal victory. It was a little different than last week, but I'm excited to instantly recap this game.
Yeah, and hey, Dallas is going to eventually join us. You guys know we do our quote-unquote instant reactions as quickly as we can possibly get to, but like, not everyone lives in Moscow, Marten. So we're waiting on Dallas to land in Spokane. I'm here, so all right. What happened? So hey, Idaho picks up a second FCS win for those tracking for the playoffs. Really a weird game, Marten, which we'll get to a little bit when we talk broad takeaways, which is going to take a minute, but. So, hey, the first quarter, no scores, but legitimately, Utah Tech had the ball for 50 seconds the entire first quarter, ran 4 total plays, a 3 and out on their first possession. Idaho, 2 drives in the first quarter, didn't get them any points during that quarter. The first drive, took off 8 minutes, 18 seconds. Second one was 7 minutes and 40 seconds. That lapsed into the second quarter. That's where the action started, where Idaho gets on the board, where Ryan Cesario catches a 6-yard touchdown pass from Joshua Wood, which was, hey, Idaho's on the board first. Idaho, then, it takes a minute. So there's a lot of drama we're actually going to get to in this. Idaho gets their second score with 17 seconds left in the second quarter. 10-yard field goal from Owen Forsman. There's reasonable talk about Owen Forsman in a second. And then Utah Tech punches in a very questionable field goal at the close. I didn't see the replay on TV. The refs initially called it no good, but it was overturned. So hey, it's 10-3 at halftime. Utah Tech scores first in the second half. But both Utah Tech scores were 50-plus yard field goals. So Utah Tech third quarter, they make it a 10-6 game off a 53-yard field goal from, I'm not trying to pronounce that dude's name. Idaho gets another Owen Forsman 49-yard field goal with 6 minutes left in the third. And then Joshua Wood puts the absolute nail in the coffin with an 18-yard touchdown run with 6:27 left in the fourth. That was all the scoring. That was all she wrote. We're going to get to Marten in a second, but that means, hey, we're in Around the Bar, brought to us by Hughes River Expedition. If you are looking for a great all-inclusive week-long vacation, do not look past your backyard. Hughes River Expeditions has been Vandal-owned and operated since 1976 and are ready to take you on the vacation of a lifetime. Enjoy a multi-day trip down the Middle Fork of the Salmon, the main Salmon River No Return, the Salmon River Canyons, or the Selway. And check out special trips like the one to see the Perced Meteor Shower. Camp on pristine bitches. Run amazing whitewater, hike scenic trails, spot wildlife, soak in beautiful natural hot springs, and fish some of the most remote stretches of river in the country. You just bring your clothes, let HRE handle the rest. So call Colin right now at 406-540-4450 or check him out at hughesriver.com. Marten, Idaho picks up a second FCS win, 20-6. What went well for Idaho?
The thing for me that went well was the running game, specifically the offensive line today. Obviously with those long drives, you're doing something right, and they dominated just like I said, they dominated, and they pretty much kept everybody they kept Joshua Wood relatively clean today. I think he had one sack. I believe it was just one sack. I might be wrong on that. But they also had 286 yards on the ground and 94-yard drive to quote clinch the win, to secure the win for Idaho. And that's what well for me. It was like the offensive line run game today.
Yeah, so there's a part of the offense that we're probably going to talk about in the other half of the show, and I just want to bring this up because Marten said Idaho had lots of long drives. That is correct. You might be wondering how they have lots of long drives and scored 20 points. That's for the second half of the show. But what Marten's saying, hey, to buttress his points, Idaho was pretty damn effective on the ground. 46 carries for 299 yards gained, 286 yards net. Led Art Williams led the way. And if this was not Art Williams' best game as a Vandal, I do not know what was. 16 carries for 144 yards. Did not find the end zone, but the redshirt sophomore from Meridian, Idaho, was really the big play threat for Idaho, including he had a 68-yard run in the first half. Joshua Wood added 92 yards gained on the ground. He lost 7 yards from sack, and Wood rushed for a touchdown. But this is the first game for Idaho that Joshua Wood did not lead the Vandals on the ground. Nate Thomas and Elisha Cummings combined for 12 carries for 53 yards as well. So, Idaho definitely moved the ball on the ground pretty damn well. Just to stick with offense for a second, Marten, then we can talk about what went well defensively as a separate topic. Joshua Wood had another pretty solid day. Not spectacular like it was against St. Thomas, but Wood goes 14 to 25 for 119 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 sack, 0 interceptions. Longest pass was 22 yards. Ryan Jesiaro led. He was the top target, 5 catches for 50 yards. He caught the touchdown. Emerson Cortez, Menjivar, and Tony Harsty combined for 5 catches and 64 yards through the air. Just bringing that up, that look, Idaho between the 20s moved the ball very well. Had a lot of long drives. It was actually astounding how few plays Utah Tech ran offensively in the first half. Now, again, Idaho won 20-6. Obviously, like there's some just weird takeaways we're going to get to later to this game, because I really do think, Marten, you tell me before we talk defense, this was kind of a standout game for Idaho in trying to figure out what mattered and what did not. Just offensively in particular. But hey, defensively, what went well for Idaho?
For me, it's kind of good. I'm only gonna look at this week, but last week, they changed I don't know what Court Dennison said to this defense, but it was a complete 180 from last week. They didn't have stupid penalties where they gave up. They stopped them on 3rd down and then gave up a first down on a boneheaded, unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. And look who is here, the man himself, Hot Dallas Hammer.
Oh, that was a hell of an introduction. Thank you, Marten. I want to buttress that point you were just making. 1 penalty on the Vandals after 2 weeks of, let's say, less than stellar play, cleanliness-wise. But Marten, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, it's all good. You stopped me at the right time before I rambled and made an awkward ending.
But is it a happy ending?
No comment.
Oh, Christ. Dallas, you're here. You're landed. We already so you can go in either direction real quick. Marten and I hit on what went well offensively for Idaho. Marten just started on what went well defensively. So and Marten hit on the penalties, which is radically different this year. This week, radically different. That was a big deal. Dallas, what went well defensively for Idaho?
I think Idaho, honestly, across the board, looked really good defensively. I think 3 of those points, and Brian, I know you mentioned it, 6 points off of 2 50-plus yard field goals, the first of which the officials weren't watching, which was always fun. Love that in the Kibbe Dome. Usually eyes are used to look up at the field goal post to see if the ball goes over it or inside or outside of it. But I don't know. I guess, too busy watching the beautiful video board.
If I had a nickel for every time there was a fucky field goal in the Kibbe Dome, I've had 2 nickels.
which isn't a lot, but it's really weird that it's happened twice now in the last 5 years. So outside of that, you could take the first one off the board. Honestly, if Idaho didn't start doing this, look, I love the Court Dennison defense. Don't love the, hey, there's 17 seconds and they've got to drive the field. Maybe when we go out and present a too high shell, maybe just keep the safeties there rather than rotate them down, where then the strong safety is coming down to cover the middle of the field and the tight end is already there catching the ball and taking off for 20 yards. Hated that. Absolutely hated that. Hopefully they clean that up. Outside of that, guys, they held this team under 100 rushing yards, under 150 passing yards. This team truly never felt like they were going to get anything done offensively unless a broken play happened, or Reggie Graff was primarily the quarterback that was running. Graff, break some crazy thing free when, again, the safeties are shifting around and they just catch the Vandals in a bad spot. Outside of something like that happening, this was the best Idaho defensive performance we've seen. Obviously, Wazoo was excellent, holding an FBS school to 10 points, which North Texas can also do as well. Unfortunately, they score a lot more than we did. Man, the Cougs fucking suck. Anyways, outside of that, guys, defensively, man, I thought Idaho, how hard is it to prepare for a 2-quarterback system where, again, they're just like going in and out at will? Bronson Barbin took most of the snaps, but it wasn't like, again, the Asher O'Hara thing with Sac State back in the day. Like, you knew he was going to come in and you knew he was going to be an athlete, and he was not going to maybe be the most refined passer. That was not the case here. Idaho had, again, a school that's essentially throwing the kitchen sink at you just to score points, and held them to 6 points, 2 50-plus yard field goals. You'll take that every single time. Again, you switch the kickers on the teams. Maybe this is a shutout because our first kicker couldn't hit from inside 40 or inside 45. And I'm sure we'll get to that. But defensively, just to end my huge ramble here, guys, I thought defensively this was a solid performance in every single step at every single level. Yes, I would have loved to see the pass rush get home a little bit more, but when you have 2 athletic quarterbacks that are moving around a fair amount, sometimes it doesn't happen.
Yeah, Idaho was, sure, it wasn't a flawless game, but it was as close as you're going to get to at the FCS level. So I'd like a couple things I just want to contextualize so you guys understand how little Utah Tech was able to move the ball. Reggie Graff and Bronson Barbin, both quarterbacks for Utah Tech, led the team in rushing as the number 1, number 2 rushers. Those two combined for 36 of Utah Tech's 90. Sorry, they combined for 64 of Utah Tech's 98 total yards. Those two guys accrued 36 their total yards on 2 rushes. And those were completely broken plays, just guys bouncing off tackles. It was not indicative of how the game actually went. Minus those 2 plays, Utah Tech rushed for 2.7 yards per attempt. And if you take the quarterbacks out, Utah Tech averaged about 2-ish yards per carry. Like, really, they could not move the ball on the ground. And then through the air, Barbin led Utah Tech at 12 for 20, 111 yards. 37 came on 1 play. It was a great catch by Tech's receiver, who I'm choosing not to look up because I don't care. Minus that 137-yard play, Barbin, who was the more effective passer, averaged 3.9 yards per pass. Truly, Utah Tech moved the ball only on broken plays or 1 just incredible catch. That was it. Otherwise, I know I left the game wondering, how in God's name did Utah Tech do anything offensively against UC Davis or NAU? Now, that might tell you Idaho's just better defensively than those 2 teams, but Idaho completely had Utah Tech's number the entire game. Really hard to do. Dallas, you referenced again the quarterback. There are a couple other plays where DBs dropped a couple picks for Idaho, but those were some of the things that could have turned this game into a blowout, even if the offense wasn't better in the red zone. So this was a really, the level of focus, level of discipline we saw against WSU, that was back for the Utah Tech game. So the defense essentially checked every single box. If you're bitching about anything defensively, like, hey, Dallas talked about 1 play that did not result in a touchdown. We talked about a couple broken plays that did not result in a touchdown. if there's much complaints about today's defensive effort, I don't know what you're expecting. I was absolutely ecstatic with what we saw here.
Yeah, I could make a complaint, Brian. This goes out to Matt Irwin, buddy. You got to catch the football before you score the touchdown. That was the. Oh man, everybody on our side of the stands, you could see it as he was sprinting to the ball, got his hands on it, had a clear as day window to the end zone, and it kind of just went through his hands. He fingertipped it, and it ended up being an incomplete pass. But you could tell the whole time in his mind was, I am streaming at this ball. I catch it in stride. I'm gone. Easiest touchdown of my life. Obviously, as a defensive guy. That is the extent of the complaint I can make about the defense. That, damn, Matt Irwin just made a really good play instead of an outstanding play that we will never see really ever again. That's the extent of the complaint you can have about the defense today.
Yeah. And Martin, hey, we've got the other half of the game to talk about too. Before we talk about the other half, dude, we got to talk about Vandal Gear. Wait, no, not Vandal. Let's do Snake River. Got to talk about Snake River Stampede Canadian whiskey. One of the best buys in Idaho State liquor stores you're possibly going to come across. You can either get the entry-level Stampede or the small batch 1915. Both of those are double barrel finishes. Your Stampede is first fill bourbon, then Oloroso sherry casks. Your 1915, I keep that one a little bit for celebrating big wins, which, hey, you know what? 50th anniversary of Kibby Dome, we can call that a big win. The double barrel finish for the 1915 is ex bourbon, then ex Canadian rye whiskey casks. They're both great whiskeys. They're both economic buys as well. Grab yourself a Snake River today. So, Martin, we now have the other half to talk about of 20-6. I think a person who did not watch this game, who just listened to the first half of the show, is hearing like, okay, like defense was incredible. The team ran the ball real well. So why was it just 20 points? What did not go well for Idaho, Martin?
I'm going to take the obvious and say like the field goal kicking look. And I know I've been like, granted it was high school football, but I went through something similar that Cameron Pope went through. It sucks, but missing two easy field goals like that, like is going to be like the one thing I'll say that didn't go well today. Could have been 26-6 if I'm remembering that right, but that's my one thing that didn't go well.
Yeah, Cameron Pope, who I don't have his season stats on me. I know he missed a field goal at least I think against WSU. Pope went 0 for 2 in the first half, missed from 43, then missed. And by the way, the miss from 43, not trying to knock on the dude, that was a catastrophic miss from 43. Like, I do not know how to miss by more. So, like, don't mean to rag on the guy, but that was rough. The 38-yard miss banged off the left crossbar. But at that point, I mean, if you're shooting the percent that Pope was shooting, you got to go to someone else. Maybe this could have been included in the last section. Owen Forsman, for the pride of Lakeland High School in Rathdrum, Idaho. He was 2 for 2. Hit a 24-yarder late in the second and hit a 49-yarder in the third quarter. So on the bright side, Owen Forsman showed up. But no, hey, Martin, you are 100% correct. Hey, Martin's saying the stats page, he's shooting 2 of 5, 40%, if not clear if that includes today. That's obviously not enough.
It does include today.
Okay, that includes today. Yeah, obviously 2-5's not enough. Missed about, I don't know. Hey, you missed 2 huge ones today, and then that didn't matter. So, Dallas, what did not go well for Idaho?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're circling one, like it really sucks to circle the specialist, especially because it's the most pressure gig out there. But that was
Dallas.
rough.
You could also pick your title of your subtitle from your name right now.
Oh, we're gonna get there, Martin. Thank you for that one. So again, these things are mostly minor complaints because Idaho, emotionally removed from it a couple hours later, man, Idaho dominated this game in most facets. The score, yes, 20-6 is not what I think most of us wanted. Keep in mind that is a better score than both NAU and UC Davis had against this same team. So keep that in mind. Cameron Pope, that was unfortunate. I hope he gets another shot at some point in a lower leverage situation, just to kind of build the confidence back up. We've seen him hit good kicks for Idaho before. But again, that one that was off the upright, I turned to David Judd behind me and said right to him, like, he's going to miss this left. He's on the right hash. He's going to push it left. And sure enough, he pushed it left. And you can tell the kid's fully not just the confidence isn't there. But for me, guys, as Martin said, shut the fuck up on offense is currently the little chyron underneath my name. If you're not watching on YouTube, I am so goddamn sick of the vandalizers starting chants like "fuck you, Utah" when it's 3rd and 7 and the Vandals have the ball directly in front of them. Have you guys ever been to a sporting event before? Because I would assume you understand, hey, like, there's times where we're supposed to be loud, there's times where we're supposed to be quiet. If you haven't been to a football game before, you're supposed to shut the fuck up when your team has the football. This has been a problem for years now. Eck had to put out social media videos, again, reminding students, quiet when we have offense, we're working. We shouldn't be me standing in the other side of the stadium trying to wave my arms to see if any student is going to understand what I'm doing while the entire fucking football team is doing the same thing on the sideline. That is embarrassing. It makes Boise State look like a bunch of fucking Rhodes Scholars when we have to tell our fans, stop fucking chanting. We are on offense. It is the worst. It drives me absolutely insane every single fucking time it happens. So you guys can tell I'm a little bit heated about this. Max Antouche in the comment section. Thanks, Dallas. It was driving me nuts too. Line of Fire 95 +1 Dallas preach. It is the absolute most frustrating thing. The Kibbe Dome is designed to be this loud little hellhole for opponents. And as like Nick Weber has pointed out in the past, when it's not that, you can hear the opposing team's cadences on the field, and that's then it bounces off across to the stands. It's pretty bad. But this stadium is designed when there's any bit of crowd noise, it gets loud in there because of just we're stuck in a little dome. So our fans being loud when we're on offense, man, it does not take very many people to be able to cause a disruption there. Andrew Dennis in the comment section. Wait, you want it to be quiet when we have the ball? Like, that's the point where we're at here is like it is so unbelievably frustrating, guys. Outside of that, Brian, I have one other thing that I don't think went very well, but I have a feeling you're going to talk about it. So yeah, I will pause my ramble and let you take the wheel.
Okay. Idaho possessed the ball for just under 23 minutes in the first half, and Utah Tech had the ball for about 8 minutes in the first half. The Vandals were up 10-0, and that is absolutely not good enough for the better teams on this schedule. Idaho moved the ball between the 20s very, very well, but until Joshua Wood broke for a touchdown late in the game, the Vandals had 13 with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Like, Idaho just did not capitalize on moving the ball at all. And the two basic things, one, hey, Dallas, this may be nitpicking. You can push back if you think so. Idaho gets in a lot of third downs. Now they're converting, but it's different doing that versus Utah Tech than UC Davis or Sacks. Well, maybe Sack might not matter. Sack looks bad. But like, hey, it's different doing it at home versus Utah Tech versus Montana on the road or UC Davis later in the year. So like, hey, like that may be nitpicking. So if that is, you guys think that is, I don't know, ignore it. The big thing was for how well Idaho drove the entire game and for how well Idaho ran the ball. The Vandals look lost once they're in the 20s. And when I say that, I mean, I truly think right now, hey, maybe this is the learning curve of first-year play caller Matt Linehan, but Idaho looks like the moment right now they get into the red zone, they don't know who they are, some of the instincts right now are not fantastic. Similar to the WSU game, they're not to the same extent, of course. Again, Idaho won, and we know how to take things with a grain of salt. I'm not upset about this game itself. I am thinking this is a very talented team that should make a run into the playoffs, and what might stop them from making that run. And right now, Idaho offensively, especially in the red zone, is not up to the level they need to be at to be a top 10, top 8 team who's going to skip the first round of the playoffs. Some of that's the running back health. Art Williams was fantastic. So no put down to Art whatsoever.
Love Art Williams.
Eli Cummings got hurt. He was gone. So that's essentially a pass catching back is gone. And when Nate Thomas played, I understand why Nate Thomas had not been playing earlier. He does not have the same explosion on that first step, those first couple steps right now. So, I mean, if he could not play, you would probably want him to sit out as long as he possibly can to get back to 100%. So, hey, like we just talked about how the running game is a little bit handicapped. We had some receivers drop. We had 3 big drops in this game, 2 of which would have blown the game open, and we'd have a completely different tone on how we're talking about Idaho. One of which was not a red zone pass, but we're talking about how Idaho did not capitalize. That's what we care about when we're talking red zone struggles. So I think Idaho there's still time for Idaho to figure this out. Lots of teams are still figuring things out. But Idaho if you thought Idaho last week had pretty much figured out their offensive issues, this week the answer was not quite yet. So Dallas, I'm curious your pushback thoughts, your interpretations, because the Vandals did move the ball, but for how well they moved the ball, it was astounding that this team had 13 points more than halfway through the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and the red zone stats are misleading, guys. If you get online and look through the box score, like the Vandals went 3 for 4 in the red zone, and the miss was unfortunately Cameron Pope missing that field goal. But it's not necessarily that the 20 where these issues start. It's inside the 30. So
finishing drives. How about
it's
that?
Finishing drives is where the problem is. And again, Brian and I are saying the same thing here. The specific 20-yard line is not necessarily the issue. It's when you get towards the end. I want to hit 2 comments in the comment section. Ross Warren, there are clearly some communication issues on offense. There was at least 2 times that some players did not know the play. One was ECM and Jezorio or Jez. I'm sorry, I just got home. I forgot how to pronounce his name. Ryan J. I had to pull up your thing because the PA guy was screwing it up so much the first game. As the stats department pulls up your name, just pretend that we pronounced it right a second ago. Jeziaro. Thank you, stats department, Martin. And then there was also a poor timeout on offense. So thank you, Ross, for pointing those out because those were things. There was a ball that went soaring over Emerson Cortez's head, and obviously Wood thought he was running a route into the end zone. ECM kind of curled back and tried to almost make it wasn't a full comeback, wasn't a full curl. It was kind of in between that. Miscommunication happens. You want that to be happening here in weeks 1, 2, and 3 and ironed out at the end of the year. The other thing is not me. When we put in Rocco, they know what's going to happen. Look, I love Rocco. I love seeing, hey, we're going to put this quarterback in and we know he's just going to run right at you. But man, it's time to stop getting cute with that. I feel like Matt Linehan has a couple crutch plays. There's too many of these halfback swings that don't work. They didn't work when Eli was healthy, and now he's hurt. Like for the second game in a row, he wasn't able to finish. Hate that play. There's a couple screen plays I just don't understand the attachment to, and it feels like those are real just drive killers. Where I don't know what they're trying to do on offense. And again, this is a guy who's calling his 3rd game ever. There's things to clear up there, but there are some warning flags to me of like, do we really know what we're trying to do offensively, or are we still trying to figure out what kind of team we are? It's as Line of Fire 95 says, getting cute is the issue. And there are plenty of times where, yes, it would suck to be 4th and 2 because you ran the ball 3 straight times. It's 4th and 2 on the 8-yard line, and you got to figure out what you're going to do. I would much rather be there than it be 3rd and 13 from the 25 because we've tried a screen pass that got blown up. We hucked it down towards the end zone, didn't work because they're in a pretty decent coverage. And now we're 3rd and long with, again, a screen pass to save us.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to our other takeaways in a second, but I don't want to come across like too harsh here because Idaho won 26. The game was never truly in doubt. We're not concerned about Utah Tech. We know that this Idaho team could and should be very good this year. It's just 2 out of 3 games offensively. There's some growing pains, if to put it lightly. Idaho, mercifully, the scheduling gods have mostly been in Idaho's favor here. Because I mean, hey, like we talked about last week with penalties, they still picked up the win. This week they did not capitalize that well on long drives, still picked up the win, so it doesn't actually hurt you. But I guess that's the thing that heading into this next couple weeks, and hey, San Jose State is beatable. No one Idaho's not going to be favored, but San Jose State does not look like world beaters. That's the type of thing that could theoretically hold Idaho from picking up a gigantic win next week, like it did against WSU. Before we get to our players of the game, Dallas, we got to talk about the player of the game in the apparel department, man. VandalGear.com has absolutely just been stepping up to the plate. Pacific Custom Sportswear is a company name. VandalGear.com is the website. Vandal owned and operated custom screen printing and embroidery in Spokane, Washington. They've been in business more than 25 years, working with the University of Idaho and other regional companies, schools, and orgs to provide quality wear. Also, they've been churning out new designs too. They can work with your company or your logo to get it set up, get high quality, really nice, comfortable shirts. They got a wide range of apparel options, including sweatshirts, hoodies, t-shirts. From the Idaho end, they've got the Fighting Tater shirt. They had a retro University of Idaho Grumpy Joe yellow shirt. You can see it right now if you're watching. They have a Home Sweet Dome shirt. They've really stepped up with some new Idaho apparel. It's the best in the game. Check them out at vandalgear.com.
Guys, very quickly, I want to point out, because I was not here for what went well, I just want to say those gold jerseys are the best Vandal jerseys in the history of ever. I thought the Vandals looked fucking clean today. I am hoping, this is my hope. I don't have a lot of insider information or anything. I hope that we see those again, because those, oh man, that just screamed Vandal football to me. So nice to see those throwbacks again.
Martin, offensive player of the game.
I think you guys know where I'm going to do this. If you are a Patreon member at patreon.com/Tubs of the Club, I am going to go with the offensive line because I am a goober and they had a great day rushing the game. I think this is their highest rushing total since the game at Eastern in 2023, I believe. That sounds right.
Yeah,
2023. The last game in Cheney. The last game in Cheney that they had.
And first game, the running back led the team in rushing yards. Hey, Joshua Wood hit the ground once, and you can't have these. If Idaho's going to run the ball, the volume of times they did, 45 times on the game, not counting the sack, to have those long drives, O-line had to show up. Dallas, your offensive player of the game.
I mean, I mentioned him a couple different times last year, and just loving watching him run. Man, I thought Art Williams looked great today. Especially when you're talking Nate Thomas I don't know if I saw Nate Thomas take multiple snaps other than when Art Williams got what seemed to be a little bit of a stinger, took kind of a shot to the head and neck area, and it was on the sideline with the trainer just kind of like working the arm a little bit to make sure everything was okay. He went back in, it seemed to be totally fine. I'm probably just, again, beat up after taking 16 carries, 144 yards, but that 68-yard run, man, it was awesome to just see him blast through that gap. And, he's not the top end, I'm going to get to the end zone first guy. But as Line of Fire 95 says, I appreciate fine art. And, man, he brought a fucking chisel today. 144 yards on the ground was nice to see a running back, like, really shoulder the load, especially after Nate Thomas is dinged up. Eli is dinged up. We don't know what's behind him. Kinchlow is realistically the short yardage fullback. Loved what we saw at Art Williams today.
Yeah, the answer, we always try to pick different guys. The answer is Art Williams. I will say, if Idaho's receivers had held on to those few passes that bounced off the hands, there would be a debate between Joshua Wood as well. Because I mean, Joshua Wood he still accounted for Idaho's 2 touchdowns, but the game ball belongs to Art Williams. Martin, defensive player of the game.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna take obvious and go Aaron Kinsey for getting the interception today. That's just kind of sealing the game for Idaho.
And I mean, not preposterous to go with a secondary member with how, I mean, Utah Tech could not pass the ball minus they had the 137-yard pass, minus that the whatever the hell the former Dixie State guys are. They were not able to move the ball through the air at all. Dallas, defensive player of the game.
Brian, I don't have an individual player. I have a handful I was going to call out. Would you like to go first before I kind of pepper on the seasoning at the end here?
Yeah, and I'm going to have to bounce relatively quick too, guys. I want to say first, before I even call out a single player, I think Idaho's tackling really well this year. Idaho's been very good at, when we talked about a couple of those, plays where like the quarterback bounced off dudes, it kind of seemed like an accident half the time.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime Utah Tech was able to get the ball to guys in space, whether it was Dylan Lane or whether it was Deuce Blendman, Idaho, for the most part, slammed the door shut on those plays pretty much right away. I'm going to go with, honestly, I'm going to go with Dylan Lane as my player of the game, just because he's a guy. There's a lot of guys we could call here because, I mean, again, Idaho dominated on the defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I've really appreciated from Dylan Lane, I don't know if last year just kind of the role with the other guys made things tougher for him, but Dylan Lane has looked like a different guy this season.
Yeah.
And he has looked, and I referenced Idaho tackling well. He is exhibit A of a guy who's doing a pretty damn good job of when he gets there, when it's his time, wrapping guys up.
Yeah. Very quickly in the comment section, Christy Mayer, I heard from a fan wearing one of these jerseys today. Cough, cough, John Yarno, cough. They may end up selling the jerseys soon, so keep your eyes out for that because those jerseys were beautiful. But Brian, you circled where I was going, and in the comment section, Andrew Dennis, Jason Mayer, James Jacobs, all kind of picking up where I was going. Crewhead 76 picking up Lane as well. Between Dylan Lane, Isaiah King, and Cruz Hepburn, man, I thought the linebackers had a heck of a game. Will Cornelson didn't seem to play as much as he did in previous games. I don't know if that's slipping down the depth chart as Cruz Hepburn gets more and more seasoning under his belt. I don't know if it was just the flow of the game, if there's an injury or a nick up somewhere, but I thought Dylan Lane, Isaiah King, Cruz Hepburn, the linebacking crew was exceptional today. Like you said, Brian, did a very good job tackling. Yes, there's a couple times that the quarterbacks broke open, but at the same point, when you've kept the quarterback in the pocket reasonably long enough, the coverage has been solid, and the guy just has to break out and scramble, he's going to make a guy miss. It just happens. Like, you watch college football anywhere at any level. If you have a mobile quarterback, the guy's going to make a play or two happen. It's the difference between having Brian, myself, or Marten out there and then having Joshua Wood out there. Like, having a guy that can run around and make a play, it saves you. It keeps your offense going. It leads you to being able to kick those 2 50-yard field goals that they had. So the three of them, for me, linebackers were the story of the day for the defense.
Yeah. Hey, I have to bounce real quick, so I'm just going to jump to my takeaways and then leave, guys. We've hit some of them, but I will say, like, what I'm looking at Idaho for this game and heading into the future is we've just seen Idaho's been up and down, still not quite able to completely be in sync, offense and defense. And hey, we know no one plays a perfect game. That's not the premise. But Idaho's got San Jose State this week and then Montana the week after. This is a pretty big run in Idaho's season for playoff positioning. Vandal's got to pick up at least one win in the next 2 weeks. I feel okay saying I think the defensive stuff from last week we can put down to lack of discipline. That was absolutely not present today for 1 second, aka correctable and corrected.
Just like the penalties, they have gotten better to, I'm not saying that every game is going to be one penalty for the Vandals, but a significantly different look today than the first 2 weeks.
I don't quite feel the same way offensively. I still think Matt Linehan is figuring himself out as a play caller. And there's just also some things Idaho is doing that are kind of weird. Like, hey, Idaho's late second quarter drive, their hurry up offense was running the ball. Now, it worked against Utah Tech, but I'm not actually worried about Utah Tech. Idaho's not going to lose to not very good teams. This is a talented football team, but I also believe this is a talented football team that should be making a playoff run. And what I'm looking at is not trying to nitpick, but what could hold Idaho back from that run? Unequivocally right now, it is Idaho needs to figure out who they are offensively. And I know the answer for that will vary throughout the game, and it will vary throughout the matchup. No one's trying to be an idiot about this. It's just there are times where it feels like Idaho knows what's working and then goes away from it, as though like they're out cuting themselves. Dallas, you talked about hey, Idaho's run the ball well, but then they also like they'll get into these little runs where they like to do these 1 yard passes, and like the strength of Idaho offensively is not their receivers, not a put down. They need the ball. But then there are times where Josh Wood looks like he's starting to really get in a groove, and then they go away from that. So I think that's an example of Matt Lenahan still figuring things out. Look at the WSU game where Idaho was finally running the ball well, and then they took the ball out of the running back's hands late in the game. I just think that at times it's being a little bit too clever, not in like the old Schleissner way of like, okay, hey, let's do another wide receiver pass or let's do the hamper cat. It's more situationally at times feeling like they're just not clear on who they are at a given moment, which to me is the next step this Vandal team needs to take. I think they've got the talent to do it, and I already referenced, hey, if the receivers don't drop those 3 passes, we're talking about this game differently. But it's FCS football, dudes. If you don't have Hayden Hatton, people will drop passes once in a while. But overall, good day to be a Vandal. I got to sign off. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you, Brian. Thank you. Marten, your takeaways from tonight's game.
It felt, although they only scored 20, it felt like the most complete game they've had in I don't know how long. And it was just kind of the more we get away from it, the better I feel. But like it's one of those like weird. It's one of those like I don't know how to say it. Just it's a good weird.
Yeah, no, I mean in the game, it certainly felt as we were sitting there, and it was a 1-possession game until midway through the third quarter, or even to the start of the fourth. It felt like Idaho could have easily won that game 50-0 had things broken slightly differently. Obviously, there's like you make the field goal. That's one thing. The kid doesn't get that extra 7 yards he needed to be able to hit that first 50-yarder. Like there's so many different places that you clean up a little bit, it changes. That I think is what's most frustrating in the moment, is seeing this team could have absolutely ripped.
They have so much potential. We all can see the potential.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like the other thing I think it's like the one thing I kind of have to remind myself is this was Matt Lenahan's 3rd game as an offensive coordinator at the D1 level. So like there's going to be some growing pains. Like obviously we all want the success, but like you also got to realize there's going to be growing pains here.
100%, Marten. And that's I am not concerned about this Vandal team because you can see it. This is a team that if they stick to the identity that appears to be there, which is run the damn ball and get after the football on defense. I mean, this is like that's the recipe to win a bunch of games in the Big Sky. It's a recipe to win a bunch of games in the playoffs. And then you have a quarterback that is this true dual threat that seems to do a pretty good job getting through his progressions. Like there is a lot of potential here to grow. The concerning things are, hey, Matt Linehan, after his 3rd game, we're not quite seeing the offense consistently put up points or consistently like just succeed time and time. There's drives where it's just stuck in neutral. Bart Holt in the comment section, even though the score was close, there was no doubt that Idaho was going to win. And that's huge right now for a team that's, again, I mean, yes, Court Dennison has called defense at the Power 4 level, like a little bit different for him. Thomas Ford, 3rd game in the FCS as a head coach. Matt Linehan, 3rd game calling plays realistically ever. If you go back and look at his career, guys, he left Idaho, goes to the AAF. Unfortunately, that collapses pretty quickly. Once he decides to retire from trying to be a professional quarterback, he starts working his way up the coaching tree in college football. Didn't go to a high school and like learn how to call plays there. Like jumped directly back into college football and is getting his first
He was
crack.
he was a GA. He was a GA at I want to do some stuff at San Diego State for a minute. Then was a GA at Missouri, and then went straight to being a wide receiver coach at Idaho. So it's like he's caught up pretty quickly, all things considered.
Yeah, exactly. Like the guy's on a hell of a trajectory. His dad obviously was a very good coach for a very long time, and then unfortunately, if you were a St. Louis Rams fan, you probably have a little bit of tainted feelings towards that because that was a really rough couple of years. But then coordinated a pretty good Cowboys offense for a while. The game I think has kind of passed him by, and he's older now, and that's kind of just what's going on. It's college football and the NFL are both moving towards younger guys with fresh ideas. It happens. But Matt Linehan is one of those guys that who knows what his actual vision of the team is going to be. Maybe there are things that maybe there are wrinkles we just haven't even seen yet because it's been 3 out of conference games. Maybe there is some stuff in the back for the Big Sky. Maybe we're going to see some of that change right now. Look, if you're looking for like positives and negatives, yeah, I don't know that I would necessarily call the offensive output a positive. Crew at 76. I knew a Rams comment was coming. Sorry, it's the PTSD. They're just like Paul Petrino PTSD. It when it triggers, it's there, it's hanging out. But Joshua Wood, man, looks like he is the guy. Looks like he is going to be an all conference player in the Big Sky for as long as he's here. 14 to 25, 119 yards, 1 touchdown today. Not numbers that pop off the page for you at all, but you can see it. Again, there were a couple drops or a couple throws that he made that were a little bit late or maybe not a great read. There's more to be had there. This is not a wow, 14 to 25, 119 and a touchdown because he's just in there managing the game. Don't screw it up. Like there was a lot of meat left on that bone. As Not Me says, Wood's the fastest guy on the field. He's amazing. Like Joshua Wood is a like stellar athlete. Man, Bart Holt, I would take Wood over Jack Lane at this point. I would too, actually. Martin, I'm rambling here, but there is a lot of reason to feel good about this team. Yes, special teams struggled a little bit today. Defense looked great. Offense ran the ball like crazy. They threw the ball really well the previous game. At some point, you have to think, man, this is going to iron itself out and it's going to be okay. We are in game 3 of this era. Like they're all going to figure it out. Yes, at some point in the next 6 weeks, a game is going to be lost that shouldn't have been lost. It's going to happen. It's going to suck, and we're all going to be frustrated about it. As long as they learn from it, and as long as that same whatever mistake happens, as long as it doesn't happen again in the playoffs, man, that's really all I can ask for right now. I know there's going to be bumps in the road, but the future looks really bright. There's so much potential here. Martin, any final thoughts? I know that we are over 45 minutes into this show. We've covered just about everything except, guys, again, if you like what we're doing, patreon.com/Tubs at the club. You get into the Only Tubs Discord. It's the best place to talk Vandal football or non-Vandal football. Really, any Vandal sport or university-related thing you can think of. There's a thread for it. It's less than a cup of coffee per month to join. We're going into a stretch of road games here, guys. If you want to be able to hang out and talk with people, man, our Discord is the best place to do it. It's typically popping pretty hard, even during like Kibby Dome days, but especially on the road when we're all watching it from ESPN. Unless you're lucky enough to be in Southern California or Middle Central California and be able to go to that San Jose State game or wherever the Vandals may be playing. And if you're not able to get there, man, patreon.com/Tubs at the club. Hang out in the game threads, talk with other people. Lose your mind with other people. I used to be Captain Panic. Now I've turned into the voice of reason in there, and I don't love it. I like being all of us instant reacting of like, this team's going to be terrible. They're going to only win 4 games. I love that. And then here we are a couple hours later. Everybody's cooler heads prevailed. I see a bunch of folks from the Discord in the comment section talking about, yeah, this is a really good team. 4 hours ago, we were all panicking. It's a great place to hang out. Martin, I'm still rambling because I'm punch drunk. Any final thoughts?
Only thing I can think of is next game's up is homecoming. Come out and support them. It's going to be a hoot. It's going to be a holler. It's going to be against a scrappy Northern Colorado team, and it should be a fun time.
Yeah, man, Northern Colorado. That's not going to be as easily as winnable as you'd think. It should still be a pretty easy game. Leads Idaho through the Northern Colorado, Eastern Washington, Portland State trifecta. Those 3 weeks are probably going to be the easiest 3 weeks in conference play,
Still have
guys.
to get through the San Jose State team and that school that I will not name.
Yeah, the sheep fuckers. So,
By the way,
guys,
congrats to Dallas on winning the game today. Pick him this week because he's the only person that picked differently in that game, and everybody else picked the same the rest of this week. So Dallas wins. Pick him.
woo! Unfortunately, I've watched enough bad Montana football to know they might not know what they're doing at quarterback. They might not have a functioning offense, but they're going to pull out some really stupid victories in the first few weeks of the season against teams they probably had no business beating, and sure enough, it happened again today. But gentlemen, and by gentlemen I mean Martin, because Brian has already left us. I got nothing. Brian's going to do obviously the conference show tomorrow. We're going to be back Thursday previewing this game against San Jose State. Maybe, just maybe, the Vandals can pull it off on the road and get to 3-1. If not, again, it's a bye game, guys. Losing it's not the worst thing as long as Idaho looks pretty good and gets out of it healthy.
Doesn't get hurt. Yeah, doesn't get any hurt.
But again, hopefully we see the Spartans get Sparta kicked down a hole very quickly. With that said, gentlemen, just being Martin this time. Go Vandals.
Go Vandals.